Hi, let's talk about general camera power requirements. I mean general because it doesn't matter if it's a HD, analog or IP camera. Although in IP cameras there is that additional thing called PoE. But in general, most of the cameras run on 12 volt DC. And amperage required is also very low. It's like 300 milliamps or something like that, depending obviously on the camera, but typically that's what it is. Some older cameras may require 24 volt AC. PTZ cameras may require stronger power supplies because they have motors which spin the camera around and move it around. So a power supply for such a camera will have around 2 amps, but again depends on the make of the camera. But you can take it as a general guidance, what I'm saying now. Then you have IP cameras. An IP camera can be powered in most cases in 2 ways. So it will have its own Ethernet cable connection, through which you can use power PoE, which is power over Ethernet, which we will be talking about which we'll be talking about later. And it gives around 48 volts. Or there's just regular also cables hanging from that camera to which you can connect 12 volts. And in most cases you can do both. You can do this or that. You can add the camera and connect the power supplies, or what most cases happens, you can send PoE over the network cable. But these are more or less power requirements. There are 2 main types of power supplies: box power supply and so-called inline power supply or adapter, depending really on the installation. A lot of cameras over this, which are placed on the suspended ceiling, will have those inline power adapters, which will be put somewhere on the tray, somewhere like that, and just locally fitted very close to the camera. Or you can have box power supply. But there's also another thing, and let's have a look here. It's a box power supply. Excuse me, my microphone was falling. It's a box power supply with multi-camera distributions for power. Each camera will have separate fuse. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it's 9. Typically it's like 10 or 5. So let's say this would have 5 amps. I don't know how much this one has exactly, but let's assume it's 5 amps in total, and you would have 10 fuses, and each would have half an amp, which is 500 milliamps, which is enough for a camera. And that's it's a very convenient way of installing cameras. And I'm talking in this case HD cameras, obviously, because as I said, for IP cameras, most cases we're using power over internet, most cases. It's a very convenient way because you can run cable to the camera, and you have power supply in one place, so if something happens, you know where to go to check why camera has no power. There is obviously disadvantage that you run the long cable to the camera. That depends obviously on the distance to the camera. But if it's a small shop, it's a very good way to wire cameras. Thank you.